Dahlia Quinn strolled into the marble-and glass cathedral of Serafina Heights wearing a vintage floral sundress, red-tinted sunglasses, and a floppy white sun hat. Her hair, usually yanked back for battle, now fell in a wavy, half-loose ponytail, soft, but still too practical to be called romantic. In one hand, a cocktail she didn't order. In the other, a tiny suitcase with exactly 0 uniforms. "Welcome to Serafina Heights," said the front desk clerk, a bright-eyed young woman with nervous fingers. "Name: Dahlia Quinn. I'm here to do absolutely nothing." The clerk smiled politely, clearly unaware of who stood before her. Dahlia liked it that way. For once, she wasn't the woman who couldn't be fired. She was just another guest with a reservation and too many drink coupons. Her suite was on the 14th floor. Not penthouse, not standard. Exactly in between. Just enough distance from screaming children and pretentious influencers. She passed a few mid-tier managers who greeted her with the kind of professional nod reserved for people who couldn't possibly matter. "Perfect," she muttered. Moments later, Dahlia leaned against the mirror-polished walls, sipping her cocktail with lazy grace. She tapped her card. The elevator beeped. A soft lounge version of "I Will Survive" played overhead. "Isn't that ironic?" she said to no one. As the doors closed, she caught a fleeting glimpse of a man in a navy suit whispering sharply to a bellboy. The bellboy's posture stiffened, not with duty, but fear. Dahlia raised an eyebrow. Then she shook her head. "Not my circus. Not my Belisa." The room was tasteful. Monochrome and stone. Everything screamed, "Don't touch me unless you're rich." Dahlia dropped her hat on the velvet armchair and fell back onto the bed like a woman whose job title was done. She stared at the ceiling. Peace. Silence. No one asking where to find fresh linens or how to reboot the keycard reader. A beat passed. She sat up. "Why do I feel like I'm cheating on someone?" she muttered. "Oh right. My job." She opened the minibar, pulled out a chocolate truffle, and opened her phone, not to snoop, but to plan her spa schedule. That's when she noticed it. The room service menu had 3 pages redacted. Printed over. Sloppy. Odd. She sniffed the air. And smiled. Nothing says vacation like mystery meat. Dahlia lounged by the Serafina Heights waterfall pool, one leg draped over the side of her cushioned chaise, her toes skimming the surface of the water. Her oversized sunglasses reflected the cascade, a glittering wall of blue and white, engineered serenity for those who needed to pretend they were far from the real world. She sipped something neon and ridiculous out of a carved-out pineapple. Vacation mode. Active. Around her, luxury glistened. Waitstaff in crisp beige uniforms balanced trays of drinks with silent precision. Wealthy couples in matching spa robes gossiped behind mirrored shades. Somewhere, a string quartet tried to make Coldplay sound classical. But Dahlia's ears were tuned elsewhere. Near the bar, a pair of junior waiters whispered too urgently over a receipt. One of them kept glancing over his shoulder. The other's hands trembled as he folded the slip and tucked it quickly into his apron. A manager in a slim navy blue suit stood nearby, smiling too much and blinking too little. Dahlia didn't move. She just adjusted her sun hat and listened. "If we report it, we're next." "Don't be stupid. He is the report." Then the manager turned. The boys fell silent, one stepping back like he'd been slapped. Dahlia looked down at her cocktail. "Found it," she muttered. "The drama I didn't ask for." She didn't rise. She didn't storm in. She just made a mental note, the tall one with the fake charm and expensive shoes. That's the one to watch. The water behind her gurgled, bubbling over polished stones like it had nothing to hide. But the resort had cracks. And Dahlia could hear every drip through the marble. Steam wrapped around Dahlia's face like silk as she leaned back in the private spa room. Thick white towel bundled around her head like a crown. Cucumber slices covered her eyes, for exactly 3 seconds, before she plucked them off and popped one into her mouth. "Tastes like someone's been watering down the organic tray," she muttered to herself, spitting it out discreetly into the folded napkin. She'd been massaged, exfoliated, and aroma-infused until her muscles felt like warm jelly. And yet, her instincts hadn't taken a vacation. They never did. Outside the treatment suite, she could hear muffled voices again. Not the whispery spa kind. These were sharp-edged and panicked. He threatened to dock your pay. He said if I didn't comp her treatments under his name, I'd be on the night shift. Again. Isn't that, like, illegal? Dahlia sat up straight. The towel on her head wobbled like a ship in a storm. She peeked out the door just enough to see a nervous esthetician and a young spa receptionist in hushed conversation behind the eucalyptus diffuser. The topic, a certain general manager, now with a name, Vincent Argento. Even the way they said it sounded expensive and sleazy. Dahlia let the door swing shut. She sank back into the chair, but her eyes were open now, peeled like the cucumbers she'd just sacrificed. So Vincent Argento had turned the spa into his own personal PR machine. Free treatments for his influencer friends, threats for the staff, and intimidation hidden beneath his Versace tie. She sighed deeply. So much for a simple facial. Dahlia stood, letting her robe swish with quiet power. She padded barefoot to the front desk, where the receptionist stiffened at the sight of her. "Don't worry," Dahlia said, offering her most innocent smile. "Just a little problem with my steam setting. Mind if I leave some feedback for your boss?" The girl's face went pale, and Dahlia knew she was on to something worth ruining a manicure for. Vincent Argento's office reeked of imported cologne, false charm, and the kind of leather that squeaked when people lied. Dahlia knocked once, opened the door without waiting, and stepped in like she owned the place, wearing a spa robe, slippers, and an expression that said "let's play." Vincent looked up, clearly annoyed to be disturbed by what he assumed was just another entitled guest. "Yes. Can I help you?" His voice was smooth, with just enough oil to fry calamari. "Oh, I certainly hope so," Dahlia purred. She sat without being invited, crossing her legs. "I just had the most eye-opening experience during my massage." He leaned forward. A fake look of concern flickered onto his face. "I'm so sorry to hear that. Did someone hurt you? I'll have them dealt with immediately." "Oh no, nothing like that." She smiled sweetly. "It's just, your masseuse told me something curious. That this entire floor was once a private casino for guests with diplomatic immunity, and now it's haunted by the ghost of a sheik who lost his fortune here." Vincent blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" Dahlia gave a theatrical gasp. "Oh, did I say that out loud? My bad. You see, I was planning to write a glowing review of this hotel, but now I'm not so sure. I mean, if word got out that a haunted illegal casino used to operate beneath the spa." He stood quickly, a bead of sweat betraying his tan. "Miss, Quinn. Dahlia Quinn." She tilted her head like a cat sniffing at a trembling mouse. "You don't need to remember it. I'm just another anonymous guest with a lot of curiosity and absolutely no patience for corporate nonsense." "I assure you," he said, holding his palms up, "there are no ghosts or casinos. And whoever told you that must have been confused." She let the moment hang like a guillotine. "Good," she said, standing slowly. "Because I'd hate to escalate a silly rumor. Unless, of course, I see anything else worth mentioning." Her eyes scanned his desk. A note lay face up, "Comp Influencers Suite, send wine and spa credit." Dahlia tapped it once. Lovely handwriting. She turned and walked out, slippers scuffing across the polished floor like warning shots. Vincent sank into his chair, a nervous laugh catching in his throat. He didn't realize she'd just tested his limits, and he failed. That evening, Dahlia ditched the spa robe for a breezy sundress and a wide-brimmed hat that screamed incognito diva. She wandered the open-air lounge with a frozen mocktail in hand, stopping to admire the live jazz trio while her eyes discreetly followed patterns. Who came, who went, who whispered to whom. She wasn't investigating. No. She was on vacation. Just a guest with unnerving instincts and an accidental knack for cracking dysfunction like an egg. By the pool, she saw a young waitress, probably no older than 20, being pulled aside by a middle-aged man in a silk blazer. The girl stiffened. Dahlia slowed down. He spoke close, too close. His hand brushed her wrist in a way that wasn't guiding, wasn't professional. The girl tried to pull away gently. He leaned in again. Then Dahlia caught it. Fear in the girl's eyes. Not discomfort. Training. The kind of silent compliance drilled into anyone who worked in a place that prided itself on the VIP experience. Dahlia's smile vanished. She finished her drink and walked past them, brushing the man's shoulder with just enough friction to make him turn. "Oops," she said cheerfully. "Didn't mean to interrupt your charming lecture." He blinked, then recognized the threat under her sweet tone. The waitress looked at her with quiet, stunned gratitude. Dahlia gave a small wink and moved on. By the next morning, the man was gone. No confrontation. No noise. Just not there. A ghost. And word had already traveled through the staff. Whispers followed her like loyal shadows. Not because they knew her name, but because some woman in a sundress had sent a predator packing without breaking a sweat. The spa steam still clung to Dahlia's skin as she strolled into the cafe lounge, wrapped in a silk robe and sipping a coconut water with a flower in it. Serafina Heights had mastered the art of serenity. White marble floors, velvet chairs, music like a sigh. She slid into a sunny window seat, legs crossed, face half hidden behind oversized sunglasses. "Would you like to try our honey lavender shortbread, ma'am? It's on the house today." The voice belonged to a young waitress, slim, bright-eyed, a little too tense to be working in paradise. Her name tag read Lena. Dahlia peeked over her shades. "Are you offering me a bribe?" Lena blinked. Panicked. "I'm kidding. Relax. I'll take two." Lena chuckled softly and placed the plate down. Dahlia tilted her head and studied her for a moment. "You look like you've been dodging landmines," she said casually. Lena shrugged. "It's my first week off the 15th floor. Promotion." She didn't sound happy about it. Dahlia narrowed her eyes. "And how's life up here in the clouds?" There was a beat before Lena answered. "You ever meet someone who smiles too wide and touches your shoulder too much? Too much teeth, too little soul?" "Yeah, I've met a few." Lena nodded slowly. "That's our GM. Everyone calls him Mr. Sweet." She lowered her voice. "But one time I heard him on the phone, talking about cleaning up the payroll after our little friend got greedy. Then he laughed. Like what? Like a guy who owns a shovel and doesn't mind using it." Dahlia's expression didn't change, but her brain lit up like a switchboard. "That's a very specific metaphor," she said. Lena bit her lip. "I shouldn't say anything. It's just, he knows things. People disappear." "Well, Lena," Dahlia said with a gentle smirk, "I'm on vacation. I'm not allowed to care." Lena gave a sad little smile and walked away. Dahlia reached into her beach tote and pulled out a compact. She opened it, revealing not a mirror, but a hidden mic inside the lid. She tapped it twice, muttering, "Romy, if you're not busy, start reading the reports for Serafina Heights. I think we've got mold under the marble." Then she leaned back, chewed thoughtfully on a piece of shortbread, and watched the floor number on the elevator blink. The mission had just begun. The next morning, tension hung over Serafina Heights like mist over a heated pool. Dahlia lounged beneath a sun umbrella by the rooftop infinity pool, her sunglasses on, beach towel crisp, and a glass of pineapple juice sweating beside her. She looked every bit the pampered guest, except her eyes tracked every movement, every scurry of nervous staff, every shift in the winds of fear. A tall waiter named Aaron, one of the employees Dahlia had secretly deputized, slipped by and dropped a folded receipt beside her drink. Inside was a scribbled note. 4 staff reported harassment. HR lost it. GM's nephew runs night audits. Suspicious bonuses found. Lena cornered last night in pantry. Nothing happened, but close. Dahlia's fingers drummed on the poolside lounger. Then came the thunderclap dressed as a whisper. GM Vincent Argento. He stepped onto the rooftop like a crocodile in loafers. All charm. All grin. But his eyes scanned the workers like they were chess pieces. He walked with his entourage, 2 thick-necked security advisors, and 1 younger man who looked like he belonged more in a frat house than hotel operations. Vincent stopped near Lena, who was placing towels by the cabanas. He said something too softly to hear. Lena stiffened, nodded quickly, then nearly tripped as she fled toward the towel counter. Dahlia's sunglasses didn't move, but her jaw clenched. Suddenly, a shriek of laughter came from her. Guests turned their heads. Vincent looked over. "Oh dear," Dahlia called. "The minibar in my suite tried to bite me." Vincent, caught between dominance and customer service, excused himself and walked over. "Miss Donna Quinn," Dahlia said brightly, stretching. "The minibar seems to think it's a safe. Or perhaps it's been rigged to explode if I take out a soda. Either way, I'd love to lodge a formal complaint with guest relations oversight." Vincent blinked. "With who?" Dahlia leaned in, whispering loud enough for the pool guests to hear. "You don't know GRO? Oh, sweetie. That's above your clearance level." She smiled wide. Vincent's jaw tightened. "Of course. I'll have engineering look into it." "No, you do that, sweetie," she said seductively. That night, Vincent took the bait. As the hotel hushed to a whisper, Vincent crept down a private hallway toward the presidential suite. The cameras were offline for maintenance. The night audit was already adjusted. But what Vincent didn't know was that the minibar wasn't broken. It was watching. Inside, Dahlia waited. The door was slightly ajar, just enough. When Vincent entered, the lights snapped on. Click. Dahlia stood by the minibar, dressed in a guest robe, holding a phone. Behind her, Romy's voice echoed from speaker. "Vincent Argento. Congratulations. You've just checked into your last suite. Courtesy of Imperial Oversight." Before Vincent could move, Dahlia stepped back, slammed the door shut, and turned the deadbolt. She looked at him through the peephole. "Night-night, sweetheart." Then she walked away barefoot down the hall, texting Lena. "The rat's in the cage. Stay quiet. Sunrise comes with justice." Her vacation had never been so productive. Morning rays spilled over Serafina Heights like melted gold, catching the high-gloss marble, the fountains, the lies. Dahlia sipped her coffee on the terrace cafe, hair in its usual ponytail, lips stained with berry-red lipstick that didn't match the hotel's boring elegance, but matched her attitude perfectly. Lena, nervously setting tables, kept sneaking glances at Dahlia. A silent thanks passed between them. Then came the sirens. Not loud ones, just the low, official hum of Romy's arrival. The regional director swept into the lobby with 3 clean-cut staff from Imperial Vista HQ. Romy looked like someone who could audit your soul. He spotted Dahlia, who didn't even stand. "Enjoy your vacation, huh?" he said, not without a smirk. She gave him a slow blink. "I was. Until I found this rat on the 11th floor." Romy didn't need to ask. "We've locked the suite," Dahlia continued, sipping. The minibar was intact, the camera behind it wasn't. He thought it was broken. "Shame." Romy nodded. "And the accomplices? Caught on fake complaints and tampered records," she said. "Your team will find what they need in room 1102. Oh, and tell them to check Vincent's bonus logs." "The kid doing night audits?" "His nephew." Romy exhaled slowly, impressed and exhausted at once. "You're not even working this week." "I know," Dahlia chirped. "I'm adorable and dangerous. You really should start charging me for the thrill rides." "You want a formal role at Oversight?" Romy teased. Absolutely not, she said instantly. That sounds like it comes with paperwork. And I've met enough egos in linen suits. Romy sighed. Then I guess we'll just keep pretending you're not a covert enforcer in a housekeeper's uniform. Dahlia stood, straightened her sunglasses, and gave Lena a wink. Pretend all you like. Just don't forget to upgrade my spa voucher. And with that, she walked off down the corridor like a woman on her actual vacation, leaving behind fear, justice, and a trail of shaken suits in her wake.